Hello and welcome back once again. It is time for the Golden Age of DC Comics 365 Days, where I take this beloved hardcover coffee table book given to me about 2 decades ago by one of my best friends. This has been surfing my coffee table ever since, and it's been a constant source of great comic book shop style conversations that we can have here right now with each other. We don't have to wait till Wednesday or when we go pick up our pile or our sub or pull. No, we can do that every day, and we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. That's what this show is for. We're doing the intended purpose of this book. It's a 365 days book. We open to today's date. Today is August the 24th. We are going to look at some comic book art from an antediluvian age. We're going to read the blurb, and then we're going to talk about comic books. The golden age of DC Comics runs between 1938 and 1955. The Silver Age begins in 1956 and runs until 1970. The Bronze Age, I'm a Bronze Age baby, from 1970 until 1985. And then the Copper Age begins in 1985. I have cobbled together a great set of standards for the definition of the ages, using this as my foundation, the Overstreet price guide from this year, and it's a great source of information, and especially its glossary. They really know how to define the ages. They have to. They're trying to sell comic books or resell comic books, and you got to be specific with your ages. It's a great resource for any comic book fan. I would really suggest that to anyone. I also usually put in something I call the escapism caveat. It's how to balance activism and advocacy with their needs, and escapism, and having like a superhero story or a chance to go to a game or a chance to go to church, not be approached with the world's problems. It's a way to escapism is a way to forget about the world's problems just for a few minutes. So I talk about that at length, and it's at the end of the show now, so I put it here. So please check that out. I gave myself a longer form to elaborate on what I call cultural conquistadors. So yeah, check it out. Leave a comment. Let's talk about it some more. So let's get to it. Let's open this book up. It is August the 24th, and I hope you're having an awesome day. And I hope you're clobbering your problems and not being clobbered by them. And it's an old friend here. This is story by Edmund Hamilton. Art by John Cicala from Adventure Comics 172, January of 1952. Adventure Comics would keep publishing superhero comic books up until and through the Silver Age. And it's also the home of Superboy. Let's read some of this. When he was a boy. Ha ha! You can't do anything to us, Superboy. This is a public shooting range, and we got a right to pick our own targets. Not according to this old law I dug up. There used to be a hospital in the neighborhood, and it's still against the law to make too much noise here. Dun dun dun! Superboy or Superfink? I don't know. Maybe he's the precursor to social media these days, and I'm not going there. That's not what this show is for. This show is for something else, and it's to have fun. And let's read the blurb, and then let's get to a bit more about Superboy. The pressure to produce new plots was tremendous in the early years of comic books, when a single issue might contain 4 or more short stories. Writers were constantly on the lookout for anything that might serve as a springboard for a story. It's a pretty safe bet that the writer of this Superboy story, The Laws That Backfired, had just read an article about odd laws still in the books in some locales. Knowledge of such legal loopholes enables Superboy to exhibit his ingenuity as well as his powers, and non-violent means are employed to defeat his adversaries. Was this somebody's idea of showing respect for one's elders? And I'm all about non-violent solutions to problems. That's a great slant. That's a great way to approach this. Superman doesn't like to be tough. He doesn't want to beat things up. He's got that power, but he'd rather figure it out. He's got a super intellect. And Superboy was a big part of my upbringing. How could it not be? I was a child of the Bronze Age. There were 2 generations of kids that came before me that knew who Superboy was. Not just Superman, but Superboy. A resident of Smallville, Kansas, son to Jonathan and Martha Kent, growing up on the farm, having a dual life. I, for one, grew up with constant superheroes on television as well. Television would show reruns of the Superman TV show with George Reeve, the Batman TV show with Adam West and Burt Ward, and also before the Super Friends came out, there was a series of Filmation cartoons, DC Heroes. It was the new adventures of Batman. There was a Superman show. There was an Aquaman show. There was even a Teen Titans show. But there was also a Superboy show. The Superboy Filmation show ran between 1966 and 1969 and produced 34 episodes during that time. And it was packaged with similar shorts featuring other DC comic superheroes and the new adventures of Superman. And it featured Lana Lang, his high school sweetheart, and Krepto, the super dog. And I don't remember any of these episodes specifically, like story points or anything, any of them. I just remembered being, having to watch them. Yeah, I can recall the end credits theme of the Aquaman show. It had a lot of horns. But anything else about this show, I would need a refresher to watch it again and be like, oh my goodness, I remember this. But yeah, so I most definitely had the Superboy show. You knew who Superboy was from reading the comic books, but also, all right, this thing is not a shame. It's a pride of my collection. It's the second copy of this I've had, but unironically in a similar condition. I bought this when I was a kid in 1978, 79. I had this. It was an oversized Superboy in the Legion of the Superheroes. One of the cool things about being Superboy was that occasionally this time bubble would show up. And out of this time bubble came his best friends from the future. They brought him to the 30th century. Now it's the 31st century because, we kind of made an adjustment from, it's 1,000 years in the future. But Superman could cut loose, or Superboy could cut loose a bit and learn how to use his powers and being put into situations where he was building his leadership skills and hanging out with kids his own age that had powers and that he could actually, feel accomplished with. I mean, of course he had friends in high school. He had Pete Ross, Lana Lang, even Lex Luthor. But you know what? He couldn't show them his powers. He had to keep his identity secret. And by being Kal-El, the Superboy of the Legion of Superheroes in the 30th century, it was a big part of me growing up. This is the wedding of Lightning Lad and Saturn Girl, and Superboy is a teenager. He looks like to be about 17 or 18 years old. This is always a nice dynamic. One of my favorite characters, Wildfire, he never really got along with Superboy very well until I think this very issue where their animosity to each other had come to a tipping point, and they resolved their conflict. They remained teammates and they became friends. But this oversized art, this is great. Mike Grell does a lot of the art in this. He's a legend, and but yeah, look at that heroic pose. That's just great. I grew up with this magazine. And guess what? My local comic book store, the Kamikaze in Davis Square, has a copy of this for $40. I'm going to invest in it. I can retire this version and have a really proud display version with the cover that I remember, but I lost that cover so soon, and it was my first copy was a lot like this. My second copy here I found on a garbage day, walking back from a friend's house after a party, an all-night barbecue we had. And I was going back home, and I looked down, and I saw this. And it was like having a second chance. And so I didn't leave her behind. I took her with me. And this is one of my favorite comic books from childhood. And yeah, so we've been talking a bit about Superboy and about the golden age of DC Comics, and we're going to be talking about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and we'll find out who we're talking about when we turn the page tomorrow. Thank you so very much. Like and subscribe. I would love to earn your subscription. We make daily content here. I talk about comic books every day. I'm a professional chef. I do cooking videos. I'm also known as the Sultan of Soup. This is true. My soup videos are nutritious, delicious, and beautiful. And check me out on the What's Cooking playlist. I'm an ordained minister, an amateur theologian, a spiritual guy. I make spiritual content. I talk about spirituality and gratitude lists and how both of these things have helped me improve my daily life. I would love to pay this forward to anyone that needs such advices. Thank you so very much for tuning in. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you in the funny pages again tomorrow, okay? Ciao, bye-bye, and good luck. Thanks. Bye-bye.